Finally, we are looking at one region in the world that has not been discussed so often at the Day of Accessible Tourism. We travel to Latin America. Let's take a look what is on offer for people that need accessibility. Juan Francisco Marañon, co-founder and manager of LatinAmerica For All. He brings people through Ecuador, the Galapagos Islands, Peru, Colombia, all these countries that have this character of longing and nostalgia. Over to you, please.
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon to everybody. My name is Juan Francisco Marañon. I am Ecuadorian. We have a company, a family-owned company called LatinAmerica For All, which we started in 2010 and is dedicated to accessible tourism. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about our experience, what we have done in different locations, and how the experience that we have had throughout the years, right? We started the lodge at the Amazon. We own a lodge called Huasquil Amazon Lodge, and that's where we started in tourism. But as soon as we started receiving guests, they said, you know what, we had such a good experience, let's move to different destinations, and we started moving to one destination after another one. So that's where we ended up in Galapagos. In 2012, we started the tours there, and I want to tell you a little bit about what happened with us, our experience, and how we found the challenges that we have and that we still face, and how we overcome and still learning process that we're doing, right? I'll just check. Yeah. How many of you have heard that water-based experiences are not accessible? That's the main answer we received when we first started our tours. And the reasons were plenty. Like a lot of the tour operators that we approach, they said about like feasible risk for liability, equipment is not ready, is not like adapted. They mentioned also like risk assessment for the different locations. Of course, there was the answer for the national parks, that is like the ecosystem is too fragile. And at the end of the day, water-based experience, which happened to be one of the most successful, most transformative, create more impact on people, were denied for our clients, right? So we had to did a little bit of thinking and came out with a different plan on how we're going to approach this challenge, right? So what happened is like, we created a methodology where we're still using every time, not only with the water-inclusive tours, but also with all tours. And the first thing we do is like we do a pre-trip assessment. Like many of my colleagues here mentioned today, accessible tourists, like people, like a wheelchair user doesn't have the same requirements or the same needs as a different wheelchair user. So for each tour that we do a pre-trip assessment. We ask what are the limitations, what can people do, and then we design in the destination that we're going to do. We design the tour based on the client needs. We also do a guide training. In my opinion, the guides, your staff is like the most important asset that you have. Guides spend with our clients, I will say, like the happiness of a tour. The success of the tour, in my opinion, it comes 70–80% for the type of guide that you have. If you have a guide that is not doesn't have empathy, that is very like grumpy, that is not like connects with the clients, it doesn't matter the type of tour you have, you're not going to have a good experience. So we spend a lot of resource and time like training the guides that we have, right? Then adapt protocols with people with disabilities. And in any tour, what we do is like we follow the protocols that we establish for accessing. I saw in the video, for example, from my colleague before, like how the person gets on the kayak, how he gets out. We do exactly the same. We find a protocol that works, and we stay with that protocol. We write it down, we practice with the people, and then that's where we start doing it, so we avoid accidents. It also helps with the insurance people to have everything written down and practice, right? Also, we adapt equipment. Every time with technology, we find new equipment that is available, you know, like for water sports activities, we find vests, we have buoyancy devices, we have all sort of like lift, like everything that is available these days. And finally, we do a risk mitigation plan. No matter what you do, like especially with the water, you always have to find the key points, the central points where there's more risk, and then you have to practice what to do if this happens, all right? So that's very important. You follow these protocols, this methodology, that's what we do, and it's very dynamic. It doesn't happen once, like it happens like every time, and then that's the way we are operating. So I'm going to present to you a couple cases, real cases that we have been working. One is in the Galapagos Islands, and another one is at the Amazon. So what happens at the Galapagos? We need to find first. You need to find a supplier that want to work with you, that want to adapt, that want to create, like, you know, accessibility. It might take time. It might be slowly, but it's very keen that you find one person. There's always at least one that wants to adapt. That's what happened with us with the boating in Galapagos. A lot of the boats didn't want to adapt because they have their boats are booked all through the year. So we found one that had, like, you know, access on the back, and they said, I'll help you because I'm interested in this. As soon as he started working and adapting the boat, 2 other boats started installing the same devices. So it will take time, but once you find a supplier that wants to work with you, the rest will follow. So that's very important. Again, once you find the supplier, I make a special note for this, is the training for the people. In this industry, you need to have invest a lot of money on your guides, on the training, on the equipment, on the crew, on the boat, so they know what to do and how to do it. And finally, my recommendation is also that it's a very dynamic process. Once you did it once, twice, you think you know it, but you always learn. You find a new way to do it. Sometimes the clients that come tell you, you know what, if you do it like this, it will be easier. And then they're right. So it's very dynamic in this industry. We never get, like, you know, bored. It's always we're learning, we're like discovering with the clients, and that's where we solve the problem with the boating, with the day tours in Galapagos. We access this boat that from the pier to the boat. We travel with the clients on the boat, and we are able even to do. In the next slide, you will see we're able to do some snorkel at like locations that are like, you know, like the national park, or even kayaks as well. It's very important that we talk with the national park. At the beginning, we used to see the authorities as a wall, you know, like you always get denials from them, but it's the right way to do it is to work closely with them. In Galapagos, everything is regulated, everything. Every single boat that it goes out has the regulation, so that's why you need to bring them along with whatever you're doing in the activities so they will give you advice, they will give you the permissions, and you work together, try to work together. So, for example, for the snorkel, we always try to go in the water with like one-to-one guide with an experienced swimmer. We use flotation devices. For the kayak, similar to the video before, we use back support. We enter from the beach with the kayaks. The person is sitting on the kayak already once we go into the beach. We use some off-road chairs that we manufacture to get to the beach so clients can get not on their own chairs. It's very hard sometimes, but with the off-road chairs, we get right next to the kayak, and then we transfer into the kayak. An experienced kayaker goes in the back, and the person sits on the front. So, and in this way, we are able to go around all the reefs and close to the rocks to see the birds and to admire the different nature. What happened in the Amazon is a little bit different. In the Amazon, we have the river. Sometimes the banks of the rivers are muddy. It's very hard to get access to that. So what we had to do is, like, the canoes are very long and very narrow. So we start working with the communities. We need to find allies. In the Amazon, the communities are our allies. So what we did is, like, for the long canoes, we cut the front of the canoe in order to make a ramp for the wheelchairs to go in. And with the kayaks, what happened is, like, we got the off-road chair next to the kayak. We do a training with the guys, like, you know, like people training to get into the kayak, And in that way, the clients, whenever it's very calm, they sit on the top, and then we can hold them as we go if they don't have balance, or if not, they sit in the bottom of the kayak. But in this way, like I tell you, every day we're learning, we're improving, we're changing, but what is important to mention is that it's possible. It's something that we're doing. Something that happens with the insurance companies. They said, if you have everything regulated, if you have protocols, if you show us that you have all written down, that you have the training with the guides, that you are doing these things, your risk goes low, and then it's easier for them to address. Why this is important for DMCs and for like tour operators? I will say like the market expansion, we heard all the money that the accessible travel moves. I don't have to repeat that. It's very big market, and it's like, especially for water sport activities, it's not really top. International reputation, locations like Galapagos, for example, when they're like the speech, the idea that we provide to them is like, if you can make this location branded as accessible, you will gain more clients, and you will gain like reputation within the other destinations. Also, you reduce legal risk. Like I told you, if you have everything documented, trained, like you invest in this, your risk will be reduced. The staff skill evaluation, you have to keep track of that, and you have to be doing it constantly. And something that I want to mention is the ESG, the environment, social, and governance certifications is like something that is taking more weight with the clients. Is because you don't only create a tour, you don't only create experience, especially water experiences are transformative to people and create a social impact. So if you position yourself that your tours create a change for the people that they're doing the tour, whether they have a disability or not, whether they are like 65 or 35, but they create an impact, and you can measure that impact, you are different than the rest of your competition. And that is, the word spreads with the different clients. So it is not a race for us of like going very fast. It's something that we do slowly, but we are positioning ourselves there. And the next slide is a proof of that. We've been doing this since 2010, started the company. In Galapagos, in this area, we have more than 500 people doing our tours, and we have had 0 major accidents. But why? Because we do this we're very careful about these procedures that we tell you. It doesn't mean that we are exempt. Anything can happen, but at least we are trying our best to have to follow these protocols and to follow these regulations, right? What is also interesting, like 85% of the people that work with us, they continue to work with us. They don't go, because once they invest in adapting the boat, in adapting like the kayaks, their boats, their Zodiacs, they stay with us. And they continue to work with other clients, but they stay with us and they differentiate themselves for the rest. What it makes it work, I will say, like leadership, you need to have from the top to the bottom of the company, you have to have the same, I speak the same language. Everybody has to have that in mind, keep that in mind. I think it's like you need to work also with the destination cooperation, like you need to work with, like I said, like with the national park, with the entities in charge of the regulations, you need to bring them aboard. Individualized planning, no matter what the disability is, every single tour needs to be planned and needs to be addressed for the specific needs. And in training investment. So as long as you have all these like onto place, you should be fine and you should be continue to work. I want to mention this, that is something that is possible to do. We're working, if we do this in the Galapagos, that is, you know, like, I don't know how many of you have heard all the regulations that happen in Galapagos, but we're making it there. And if we do it in the Amazon, it's possible to do anywhere, right? It's something that is possible, it's something that is scalable. If you do the right approach and you do it in the right way, it's something that you can scale. And like I said, it strengthens the destinations. It gives an added value to the destinations that you are implementing the tour. Some takeaway thoughts that I wanted to share with you is water-based inclusion is like part of the operation that you need to do. It's not a charity activity, it's something that it's transformative for the clients. Structure and training are only the requisites to success. it needs to be structured, like accessible tourism, especially in water. It doesn't come from improvisation. If you do it, if you improvise, you will fail. Eventually, it will fall. You need to be structured, and you need to follow all these procedures and training to be able to scale it and to have it done. So that's it. I wanted to thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Vielen Dank, Herr Marañon. Bleiben Sie direkt hier oben.
Please stay with us, Mr. Marañon. I will get a headset for you. Katrin Winkler may join us here up front, a quick question and answer session, and Juan Francisco will also follow our discussion on Channel 2. Monika Tetzner, Katrin Winkler, please join us. Your questions to our three panelists, please, fire away. Not yet, but online question to Ms. Winkler. What I'm missing here, the councils, the advisory council and the offices for people with disabilities. Do you include those representatives too? I believe there were so many gray dots. Well, I had to leave out so many things. Of course, they are sitting at the table. We have the advisory boards of the districts and the municipalities. No, they are part of the team. Mr. Marañon, what about you? You told us that you have a close cooperation with people affected by disabilities, with experts. Have you done so from the very beginning?
If I understand correctly, you asked me if I had, because the question was if I had cooperation with experts since the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah, what happened is when we started the company, we went to train ourselves. Neither my brother or I had a contact with disabilities, so we used to go to the States for a training. There used to be a conference called SAT, Society for Accessible Travel and Hospitality. So we start participating there, and we start learning and getting information about what is important and how you handle the tours. And that's where we started, and then we continue with the different actors with ENAT in Europe. And we start exchanging information and getting as much trained as possible with experts that know much more than what we do. So it's always an ongoing process that we do.
Dankeschön. Ich schaue noch mal, ob
Thank you. Anything else? No? Yes? This is an old one. Anything online popping up? Could you please repeat the 8 points of the demand catalog by Dr. Matthias Müller for those who had hard of hearing? These 8 bullet points were presented but would not shown. But I think he presented in an abbreviated format all 8 bullet points. We will also publish it on our homepage. You are welcome to download. If there are no other questions, let me look around. Check it out. No open questions. Thank you very much to the three of you. Thank you for coming. A huge applause for you. Thank you.